Yeah, totally.
Go to the bar all
But
bad.
see, at Maryland's, it had already started. It had started in high school because at the high school dances, when everybody was dancing on the floor and all the straight girls wanted me. I'm like, bitch, I'm gay.
I was at that club last night. 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 I was at that club last night.
We're going to talk about the underground party scene that is sweeping Southern California, a phenomenon attracting thousands of teenagers, and many times are illegal. They're illegal to run, and drugs are often common.
The 50s brought us rock and roll, of course. In the 70s, it was something called disco. And now there's a new trend called the beat. And it's sweeping the teenage music front.
The 90s, our culture was changing.
The 1990s, it meant discovery.
Looks like a lot of very, very young individuals.
The 90s for me were freedom, whatever we felt like doing that day or night.
The difference between the drug use between the raves and the clubs was we were having the ecstasy, the acid, the shrooms. Especially in the 90s, it was saturated. Like, it's one thing to go out and do what you're gonna do and dance and have a good time. You recover the next day, you do it on the weekend kind of thing. Whatever your drug of choice is and you're doing it on the weekend, that's that.
Everyone was on that vibe and everyone connected, and it was like a Wi-Fi signal that's being sent out, and everyone's happy and they're on that level. Your body feels it. It was just like those kids on ecstasy next to the speaker feeling those vibrations.
We would use drugs to stay awake. So that's what we did when we got there. We got out of the car and we went on a hunt for the drugs we needed so we could dance on the go-go box all night. That was our goal. That was a lot of people's goals, was to party as hard as we could for as late as we could. In the beginning, it helped. It was amazing, but it didn't stay like that is the problem.
There's tragedies, I guess, in everything. It's like a war or something. A journey that we decided to take upon. And, there's always fatalities and we can't control it. But they obviously felt the same. It brought you more connected to the music.
Oh my God. Wow. And one of my best friends, Clifford, he actually died from drugs. He got in a car accident because he was under the influence of drugs. And actually, it did a number on me. It changed my life. But just to see Clifford dying and to see other friends, that really changed. That changed everything.
It all depended on how you went about it. If you were too deep in it, then obviously that's all you were going for, and then you probably weren't even going to a party after that. You were probably just looking to get high, like not even worried about going to the next rave or next party. But other people that were there enjoying the music, it helped a lot.
It depends on where you were in your drug use, in my opinion, as far as drugs hurting the party scene. Because if you had just started out with using drugs and everything else, you were being warned about sketching and this and that and that and this, and we all know that people are, you're gonna sketch out, you're gonna do this is gonna happen, that. That's because they were advanced and they were into it already, and that was shit they were experiencing because it had been a few years for them already. When you first start those drugs, it's like, woo! There's no stopping you, you're bouncing off the walls, it's the best thing in the world. It's like you just, you don't want more because of the drug. You want more because it just opened the floodgates of that fun world.
You know, drugs was a very important conversation about the rave scene, especially from critics and people who were trying to oppose it and stop it, because obviously people lost their lives, people, you know, ended up getting into terrible tragedies because of the influence of drugs. Do I think it helped or hurt the scene? I mean, drugs is a part of the dance music culture, it's part of the rave scene, and so I think some people would say those were experiences that made that scene better and what it was. The flip side of that coin, though, is that I think drugs also, for some that couldn't manage it recreationally, didn't have good balance about it, for other reasons, potentially abused of it, it was tragic. The music used to suffice and supply, I think, a lot of what some people use drugs for, the high that people need.
It all depended on who you were, but if you did it and you weren't too hardcore about doing drugs all the time, then it probably helped you with, you know, a sense of creativity.
Did they help the scene? Well, it depends on what you did. I mean, you go to these raves and everybody was on ecstasy and feeling good and taking their clothes off and dancing around to this big old horn thing, and you know, it made this funny sound. You know, I mean, that's a personal story, I remember, but I don't know, it just depends. But myself, I'm not squeaky clean. I did what I did.
You know, it's like sensory overload.
The culture and the scene in the mid-90s was just amazing. I mean, you had all walks of life. Brown, black, white, Asian, you name it. Everybody was just out to have a good time. I mean, the clubs were just packed. Music was just incredible.
That was the biggest thing about our night, was what we would wear. So we would go shopping either on Melrose, we would go to the thrift shops even, and find cool things for like $2 and $3 and just make the coolest outfit.
I did the first club fashion show at Arena on a Friday night. So Catherine Ireland actually hosted the very first fashion show. I was the second fashion show before they opened up Friday nights on Saturday, when it was 21 and over, and it was like the who's who Hollywood crowd, like stars and celebrities and people like that, because when it first opened, that's what it was.
In '93, we were always doing fashion shows. Like literally, we were doing a fashion show a month. Whether it was Park Plaza, whether it was, we did a lot of stuff in Beverly Hills too, which was really fun. But we would do also small, intimate kind of secret fashion shows at Arena. And we did one where Madonna came, and I was wearing this top that was custom fit for me up here. Wasn't gonna fit Madonna. I was teeny at the time, and she didn't understand why we wouldn't take off the top and give it to her. And Randy, the designer, was like, it's made for her girls up here. She can have anybody else's top. She didn't have mine. That was made for me. I was feeling really special about that top.
The style was a mixture of things. The style was very eclectic, and it kind of depended on like what scene you were in, how you dressed. Then there was the rebel scene, where there's boots and chains.
Me myself, I was a rebel, so you kind of dress for the girls. The Hardy boots, the Hardy belts. And you know, that was the style that, you know, that we used. Either that, or you were either a rebel or a groover. You know, they would dress more a little baggier. You got the baggy t-shirts with like the rave style t-shirts on there.
Yeah, I hung out with the rebels. I used to hang out with the groovers and the housers, used to call them also. They're pretty big. You had a bunch of big crews out in Orange County. You had like Rebel Familia out there. You had the Wanderers. You had the Valens. You had the Lost Boys. You had groovers like from Above Society, Noble Creations. So there's a bunch of big crews that came out of Orange County that did big things also.
Well, I mean, for the groover style, your black suspenders, your high socks. At the thrift shop, we will buy the old like sweaters.
Everyone was trying to find who they were in their own style, in their own element. You know, I was one of those people. I was highly confused. I didn't know if I wanted to dress a particular way for the weekend.
We all connected. somehow organically. Without this formula, we can't have anything. You know, it all revolves around the music.
That's why I like the scene, because, you know, nobody judges you on how you look. The Goodwill or thrift shop always, you know, hands down, for me, worked out the best.
And that's what I remember about the 90s was when I was working for the costume designer that I was working for at Excalibur, is being able to use these materials that were just so far out, whether it was hologram plastic or, you know, when I was designing costumes for the dancers at the Dome, it's like I got most of my materials from Home Depot, or I would just go buy, you know, leather and pleather and plastic and vinyl and paint whatever I could, or, you know, reflector stuff. I just remember like the fashion just being as wild as it can possibly get.
Excalibur dancers were a huge part of the Dome. Jamie, Corinne, Claudia, Excalibur dancers. We did things there with go-go dancing we have never seen before. We put them in glass or clear plastic balls up in the ceiling. And Jamie, it didn't matter if you were gay or straight. Everybody loved Jamie.
Tell me about being cutting edge. I mean, this was a creative group of young people that just knew how to decorate the stage with their presence and their outfits and their dances. And, you know, Corinne, my gosh, to this day, Corinne and I are still friends. I married Corinne to her husband. I actually married them, and it's a beautiful story. But Corinne is my sister. I love her. Her and Claudia and Jamie and just that whole crew, and how they would rally around each other to just be creative and go downstairs of the Dome in that little dungeon area and just like, all right, try this and put on this and put on that. And like every hour during their sets, they'd come out and it was a different, you know, outfit. And then they'd take their break and then come back out and it was a different, and it just kept this momentum and this continuity about a night that was being intentionally programmed, man. It was like, there was a lot of creative juices flowing around in that place.
The Excalibur dancers were a unit of their own. I mean, they did something, I would say, that wasn't being done back then. Like, now you could go to Vegas or you could go to a club and there's people flying in the air, there's people, you know, hanging above you and balls and dancing, and that was, at least that I knew of back then in LA, that was kind of the first of that, where they went above and beyond. They would do costumes and they really put everything into entertaining people at the club. And I don't remember seeing that.
I remember seeing two females and a male climbing on top of these boxes. I remember the way they were dressed. They were dressed like, kind of like, what would you call, S&M style, you know? And they got up. But they were, you know, it wasn't just regular people, you could tell, because they were like uniformed, you know, in S&M style clothing. I was like, what the heck? And they started dancing. And oh my God, fell in love with the dance. Jamie, Claudia, Corinne, and I know the names because somewhere down the line, you know, we became friends. But I remember seeing them and I was like, oh my God, this is next level. Amazing. And I loved it.
I was a makeup artist, and I had met the designers at Excalibur on a film I was working on. It was a film that Shabadoo had directed about the rave scene. It was actually called Rave, Dancing to a Different Beat. And I was doing makeup on it. It was one of the first films I had worked on. And I started doing makeup for all of the Excalibur fashion shows. And then we had gotten the contract with the Dome to provide the wardrobe and to provide dancers. So that's kind of how I had transitioned. But I had never gone to Florentine Gardens, had never been there. Like I said, I was a raver girl, never been there. In order to fit in for the Dome, I dyed my hair dark, wore the long dark extensions. You know, I had to kind of fit in more with the crowd there, the Latin crowd. But yeah, I had never been there before, and it was a really large crowd for me to dance in front of. I was terrified. You know, you get up on that go-go booth and it's like you don't think about anything. You don't see anybody in the crowd. And when the music goes on, it's fine. You know, everything, all the fears just fade.
The Excalibur dancers. But in particular, Claudia. You know, her look, her style, her fashion, like she lived it.
I was actually doing fashion shows at the arena, and I did a fashion show for Excalibur, the brand. Once we started at the Dome with Jamie, I met Corinne, and she actually was in charge of all the Excalibur clothwear and stuff like that. And we became this amazing group.
It was a visual demonstration of acceptance for feeling what you were hearing through the DJs, and they provided the art of, in other words, they explained it without having to sing to you. They just performed for you. And, you know, that was such an important part of the element for dance music during that time in the 90s. You know, you couldn't wait till you saw Jamie and Claudia and Corinne and their outfits, you know. And for me, I mean, I felt like, wow, I graduated when I actually wore, and I'll show you guys, I have the picture of, and at the time I didn't really have like boobs at the time, but it was like the Excalibur white top that I had, and because I was working at the Dome, I had, you know, my headset and walkie-talkie stuff going on. Don't ask me what I was, I know I was working at the club, probably doing 5 different things, because that's what we all did. We were part of that growth. But man, when I had that Excalibur like top on, I felt vulnerable, but I finally felt like I found my power. And that to me was really important. I felt powerful. And I can only imagine what they were feeling when they were performing.
Shooting 77 Figueroa, 77 Figueroa, 1 victim down.
Little by little, whether the style changed because gang influence started coming into it. You know, the baggy jeans turned into more Dickies and Ben Davies and khakis. Boots, you know, went from Harley boots to Sketcher boots. Now everybody started wearing more like the construction boots, a little more gangster style.
I think it provided a sense of structure to these gangs, meaning that they kind of had to step up on their game and not just party on the outside. They kind of had to put some cologne on, take a shower, and, you know, get their ass in the club to hook up with a chick that also took time to get dressed, because you're not going to find her, you know, in the back alley. You're going to find her in a club looking hot.
A lot of backyard parties, boogies would go on, and a lot of gangsters around that time, I don't know, but they just started coming up, started getting more crazier.
Back in Orange County was more of the street scene. We did a bunch of house parties, warehouse parties, which were illegal, and so a bunch of that gang culture was part of it, and a bunch of gangs became party crews because they wanted a party, they wanted the girls.
The gang culture was pretty heavy. Where the street I lived on, we had pushers, movers, the big guys, the guys that moved the bricks, the guys that would walk up and down from house to house where they distribute the stuff. Because they had their hub and then they got their homes where they push it out. Then you guys get the old guys come with the stab wound walking by, and or they got shot down the street and they're bleeding all over the place to get some help. You know, you kind of just looked at that growing up and you're like, whoa, is that really what I want?
The gang culture was kind of combined because we all started going out together, I feel like. And for example, one night I was at a house party and someone just started shooting. And we weren't even that surprised because it kind of happened often. You just ran and left and then tried to find the next place to go.
The time that I got scared and it kept me from going to a certain area of downtown LA. We were in the station wagon, it was New Year's Eve, and we had gone to the arena, and we're like, screw this, we know of this cool party that's happening. So we're like, let's go to that. Well, we got our information confused. We went to the party. It was like 5 minutes before New Year's Eve, so we found parking luckily right in front of the venue, but they had the front doors closed and the windows shades shut down and everything, and we were wondering why it looked like nothing was going on. So we heard the music, we heard the crowd. You just couldn't see anything. They had all the windows like completely closed in this venue. And as we're getting out of the car, we noticed there's a gang across the street of cholos. Little guys, they looked like they were building the temples, like straight from Mayan town. Like they were small, girl, like the masa right there. Come on! Like they were gonna sacrifice some bitches. So they were little, but they were hardy. They had bricks, they had baseball bats, they had everything. We were walking up to the door and that's when we noticed them. We're like, the Mayans are running towards us. So I'm like, get back to the fucking car. So we run and we get back in the car because you could see the bats and the bricks and everything. And I'm trying to start the car and I forgot this car has trouble starting right now. The starter's bad. It's like, the next thing you know, you hear, pow, one of them had thrown the brick at the driver's side, shattered the glass all over me and it went into the back seat. And luckily I got the car started and there was enough room for me just to turn the wheel and pull out and boom, I went right through them. If they didn't jump out of the way, I may have laid a couple out, I didn't care. So we went up to Western, there was a Denny's or something, I believe on Western. And we went up there and we pulled in the parking lot and we cleaned the glass out and everything else. And we're like, screw it, let's go back to the arena.
Chaos, motherfucker! Chaos!
No, it's like everything else. It looks like it's some sort of supermarket or drugs or liquor store type scenario there.
Whoa.
Did you get that?
During the LA riots, I was actually in school, so it was kind of weird because we didn't know what was going on. You know, there wasn't all this, social media like now. So they were kind of putting us on lockdown, and then they decided to let us go. But it was kind of crazy because when that happened, all kinds of fights started happening at school. So it's kind of scary, but I was able to go home and, check it out on TV, and I didn't realize half of Los Angeles was, on fire. It was pretty crazy.
I remember I was at home and when they first started that the first liquor store caught on fire, I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is gonna be like, Watts in the 60s. And that's why the undergrounds were going off, because all these abandoned warehouses were just there, nobody was using them anymore. People had moved out of them, foreclosures or whatever was going on. So yeah, I think we pretty much stayed in at that time, but not too long after that, we were out again.
I remember driving around in South Central, and I remember seeing buildings on fire. I remember people walking around.
Oh no.
I remember seeing looting. I remember seeing pain. I remember people chanting. I remember people crying. I remember the violence. But the violence was because there was something that they needed to voice, very similar to what we had been dealing with today. And it really was a very powerful time.
The LA riots, I drove smack through the middle of that accidentally. I'm seeing people running across the street with different things in their hands, televisions and radios, and bro, it was insanity. And I'm driving going, what in the world is going on? It was so crazy. And people kept looking at the back of my truck, and I was like, oh my God, they're gonna jack my speakers.
I remember standing on my friend's roof, and we would look over and you could see like the 10 freeway, and you could just see poofs of like fires. But we weren't gonna stay. We were told to stay home in a lockdown, like whatever. We were 17. I'm not gonna stay home. I mean, we didn't have social media and things to keep us entertained at home. So I remember my best friend, she was Chinese, I was blonde. Her boyfriend lived off of Melrose and Normandy, and so we kind of drove down there when we weren't supposed to, and I just remember vividly her saying, they think I'm Korean and you're a white girl. Like, we should not be going down there. 3 of our friends went out, and they had their families, their dad's camcorder, and they went out and they were filming the riots, and they got arrested because they thought that they stole the camcorder. They thought they were looting when they were just trying to, be high school filmmakers. And so the dad had to come down with the receipt and was like, no, this is the family camcorder. They weren't looting this. But it was crazy, because everybody, I think at the time, like I said, my friend was Chinese, but they don't know that she's not Korean. And the Koreans, shopkeep owners were trying to protect their stuff, so everybody down there at the time had guns. Normandy was kind of the epicenter where things were happening, and we were staying at this house off of Normandy. We were going to areas that were not safe.
We were under curfew. They brought in the National Guard. They were at my corner. They were at this corner. I was like, how am I going to get around those motherfuckers? Because I still need a party. I need to go to the nightclub, and I need to feel good because there was so much happening that I was like, I need to feel the vibe. I need the music. The music kept me going. So it was scary, but I managed to go out because I knew that was my freedom, and that was my way of going, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right, But it didn't stop me. It was scary, but it didn't stop me,
So during the Los Angeles riots, I was in downtown, and I forget which street it is, Vermont or whatever street it was, that had like Filipino bakeries and everything. Well, it's one of those streets where they were literally busting in the windows. The cops were standing there telling people, we've already checked it out. This whole building has insurance. They've evacuated. They've closed the shop. We know what's going to happen. Just go ahead and bust the windows and loot it. Their insurance is going to cover it. Now, mind you, the news is there the whole time filming all this. Well, lo and behold, the news stops us and wants to interview us. So we got interviewed on the news. Yeah, we just busted into, the Levi's store, got a bunch of Levi's, and we got this futon chair. So we walked away from the cameras, just left the interview. The lady was like, oh, okay. And we're high as hell. But then we felt really bad. It made the news that night. And then come that Friday, we were going to the arena and we were walking up the stairs. But when we walked up to the door that day, there were like 6 of us. We were turned away. They said, we saw you on the news. You're not welcome here right now. And they turned us away. And we came back the next week and we couldn't live it down because we were all of a sudden from the House of Love and being Mother Love. I was Mother Looter and we were the House of Looters because everybody had seen it on the news. And so it took a few months for us to live that down. But we were the House of Looters, so we'd go on the dance floor and just make fun of it. House of Looters! House of Looters!
When I first went out, I had never been in that diverse of a setting. And there, like you just said, it was Latino, it was blacks, we were all kind of combined together. And the style was influenced by that. I remember the Latinos brought the whole rebel scene. Like that was huge.
It was such a crazy time because it was like this convergence of a certain style of music that was getting its fair share for people to listen to, get more excited about, more places to go to. I mean, for a long time in the very early 90s, late 80s, there was a lot of house party stuff and things like that, and it was still more like the freestyle things that were going on. But as major radio stations like Power 106 and others began to explore a little bit with dance music, it started really appealing to more of the masses in the entire city. But Northeast LA already had the bug. I mean, we were already doing a lot of stuff.
The mid-90s, it was life, energy, fashion, an explosion of happiness. That's what the 90s meant to me. It was life.
Oh gosh, the mid-90s meant to me freedom. You know, I was so young then, I just wanted to get out of my parents' house and dance and feel good, you know. The mid-90s were, like I said, freedom.
I love the 90s. I think it formed and shaped me into who I am today. It gave me street smarts, connections, networking.
Well, the 90s meant everything to me, music-wise. You know, life was good, not a worry in the world, just partying, having fun, and enjoying life.
People got together, we listened to the music, the fashion back then, you know, the people. Just in general, what I took out of it is just loving the music and loving each other and respecting each other for who you are. Not what you have, materialistic, not where you came from.
I don't know if everybody feels this way about their own era. It just, to me, it just felt different. You look now, everybody kind of dresses the same. You know, they listen to the same music. Back then, you know, you had different pockets of different types of people. You had the groovers, you had the rebels, you had the cholos, you know, you had, as always, you had the jocks. It's just, everybody seemed to have their own individualism, and they showed it.
It was 100% like wildfire.
When you went out there to the club scene, let me tell you, to me it was amazing to see people just come together, any kind of background, any kind of culture, and you just heard the music and it would just, at least personally for me, feel it in my veins, and it was amazing.
The vibe was very active. You know, I was influenced by a lot of different people. When I came across it, it was like, boom, it hit me. In the year 1994, and it was my neighbors that were all heavy into the whole party scene. They used to go to Sweet Sundays, and they would always come back and show me the flyers.
Sweet Sundays reminds me more of the whole like rave scene, the whole warehouse scene. It was filled with like inhibition. You would go in there and there's just speakers, you know, set on the floor. Everybody's hot and sweaty. A lot of people are on drugs. It's just one big party of dance from the time you walk in until the time you leave.
So at the time we had Babylon going in the San Gabriel Valley. There were other clubs in the San Gabriel Valley were like Peppers, Quiet Canyon, Baby Doze.
One of my favorite ones was definitely the Ozone at the Palace. It was on a Thursday, and it's now called Avalon, but yeah, it was every Thursday. We had a line going down to Hollywood Boulevard every Thursday, and I mean, back then we could be on the radio plugging it as much as you want. It's like, tonight I'm gonna be at Ozone at the Palace, come on through. So, and it was packed every Thursday. And then I remember Fridays, we actually did Vegas at Florentine Gardens in Hollywood.
I had never been to Florentine. It was a transition because when you're going to the raves, like I said, there's an influx of like sensory overload where, you know, you're doing, there's the ecstasy, the acid, the shrooms. You're usually outdoors. Everybody's got their backpacks and there's kids, and it's just mayhem and madness.
The Dome had its own energy. Arena had an entirely different energy. For all kinds of reasons, from the age group to the energy that was brought in by the people representing that party scene.
Arena was kind of interactive in that you didn't just walk in and party. There was lots going on all night, from the shows to dancers that would come on and performers that would come and perform for us.
That's why that bitch paid $20 to get in. And we got it for Oh, yeah! You go, girl. She forgot we were all men, honey. We'll fuck her up anytime.
Celebrities, amazing, glorious. You talk about the Wonder Twins, the way you see Lady Gaga wearing those huge platforms, that was the Wonder Twins in the 90s. They were actors, they were dancers, they were club kids, they were everything, they were amazing.
They went there. In other words, the male energy and the female energy were joined so perfectly well because there was such a dominance in who they were, and you couldn't wait to see what they were going to do the following week. They had the element of surprise. They brought that element of respect for drag. They were the fabulous Wonder Twins.
I remember they were walking, and it wasn't just them. They were walking with like 7, 8, 9, what we call club kids, you know. And you can see them coming 100 yards away. I mean, totally stood out. You can see them coming from the parking lot. And you're like, oh my God, here they come. There it is. The show is here. They had their own parade, whether it be in the parking lot, from the parking lot to the club. As soon as walking in the doors, it was like you saw a parade in front of you, and it was amazing to see.
When you would see the club kids coming down the stairs, everybody just got out of the way and went, they're here. And they would come in every week and they would do their fashion shows and they would strut and they would work and they were like, yes, bitch. I'm about to put you all in the train. I'm about to put you all in the train. I'm about to put you all in the train. I'm about to put you all in the train.
Arena was more about going in there and partying as hard as we could. Whereas the Dome, you kind of went for a purpose. There was things going on there. It was more like an exclusive, you know, this DJ or this artist will be here. So that's how I remember the Dome.
The thing that was amazing about the Dome is for a long part of it, stretch, we did Power Tools live from the Dome. And that was chaos from beginning to end, you know? So we're putting on a club night, and then the last 2 hours of the club night, we're doing that and putting on a radio show at the same time. So the whole thing was just from 0 to 100 from beginning to end. The most magical night at the Dome, Mike, I was going through your dresser earlier and I found this t-shirt, throw that to me. 3rd year anniversary of Power Tools. Look at those names on there. Armand Van Helden, John Bishop, Bad Boy Bill. We shut down Hollywood with this party.
What's up? This is Power Tools, the 3-year anniversary show. I got champagne overflowing. There's just like thousands of people here at the Dome. There's beautiful women over there. We got superstars in our midst. We've got an incredible show. But before we start the show, I want to say thank you to you, the Power Tools listeners. Because of you, the show is on the air right now. You know, we went through some rough times about a year or so back. Coming up on the show tonight and here live at the Dome, we've got Armand Van Helden and Bad Boy Bill. I just got off the turntables, but I'll be spinning again on Power Tools.
It was New Year's at the Dome, and I believe who was performing that night? It was the Mighty Duck Cats. I think it was Mighty Duck Cats. And we got so wasted on the dance floor, and I picked up that little girl and I put her on my waist and I swung her around like she was my own child. And the crowd opened up, and I mean, it was just like the parting of the sea, and we had a great time, but that's how it was. But no, I did see a lot of crazy stuff. I seen a lot of drunk I seen people that was naked. I seen people that was topless. I seen people that was out of their mind.
You can hear the music outside. It's just bumping, right? You know it's good. The line of people, you already know there's a ton of people waiting to get in there. You see the cages and the lights and the girls dancing, the guys dancing, everything in the cages, the go-go dancers. Sections of like where people were battling and stuff. You see like a circle here, a circle there, just seeing the people just going off and having a good time.
The Dome was an amazing venue at Florentine Gardens that became a promotion event of dance music that really, I think, put a staple in the LA dance music scene for sure. At the Dome, it literally would be sold out just about every night. And what I mean sold out was we just couldn't fit any more people. You could be rest assured that 5-10 minutes after 9 o'clock, people were on the dance floor. And people didn't go there to schmooze around. You know, it wasn't like bottle service like it is now, and this whole idea of VIP. It was literally people just wanted to come and let off energy, and the music was what it's all about, and they just wanted to dance.
You know, we're from San Diego, so the scene in LA is a little bit different. So we were just in awe with everything. We waited in line to get in. It was a big ass line. We finally make it in, and it's just like huge. It's huge. I mean, we're home. These are our people.
I think what made the Dome special was the DJs they had. You know, the DJs they had a lineup second to none. And I saw the atmosphere that club had, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I'd never seen anything like it.
The Dome was my second home. The Dome was so special for me for that. I had a place to go to every Saturday. I had a place to go to where I felt important. I had a place to go to where I can see artists perform some of their newest songs. I had a place to go to be erotic. I had a place to go to express myself, to be with my friends. It was a weekly conference and with a community of people that all were looking for something more. And it was exciting, and we saw performances, and we were part of that element that was just, you rose. You just rose. There were songs that you just sang along to, and you were with the community of people dancing to the same beat, and you're singing the same song. It was an experience unlike any other because it was real, it was raw, you know, it was family.
I started going to the Dome in 98, 99, in that time. And then it was just, how can I say, a different experience from any other nightclub there was. You would walk in and you would just feel the vibe.
To get into the Dome and just on a regular night when no artists were performing was just ridiculous. If I wasn't, walked in and walked into the back door or whatnot or down the steps, I don't know if I could wait in line because, the wait was, sometimes an hour and a half.
I got an opportunity to DJ there for the anniversary, which is incredible. It was dope to be part of these big, incredible clubs and have actual residencies at these clubs.
I remember playing at the Dome a couple times. DJ Marcos from Nexus was playing. Robert from Tough Guy was there. James was there. AJ Mora was there on the booth. DJ Orlando was in the booth also. Yeah, I was there playing, and then Marcos was like, hey, take over. I got to use the restroom. Started playing, man, and I was like, dude, this is my moment. Let's do it. Let me see what records we have, bro. I said, let me make a small little set. We need to mix 4 or 5 tracks before you come back.
We used to do Babylon. That was at Florentine Almonte. That was like some hard-hitting music back in the day. I remember when St. John would put the commercial together for Babylon, we'd always kind of take shots a little bit. It's like some people do and some people don't. Those clubs were just slammed. I'm talking 2,000 people every weekend. It was insane.
I tried my best to convert the Dome version of the San Gabriel Valley.
So Florentine Gardens, Amani, also known as Babylon, had an awesome vibe. As you pull up, just the crowd that you would see in Almani is different from Hollywood. But when you walk in, it was just because it's so big. The music was there, but just the vibe did feel a little different. Babylon was a little bit, more of the pretty boys and the good people. Yeah, and not that, the Dome had bad people or anything, but just the vibe was a little different,
Diva was an absolute staple. I mean, Diva was kind of a continuation of the Dome, a little bit more manageable.
We would go to the Casa. You could find the place at night when it was pitch black. But if you had to find that place in the day, like my car would automatically go to these places at night, piled with my friends in the back. But I'm like, if you had to ask me to where that place was, no, I would have no idea. Still would have no idea. But you go to the Casa and you're walking over the catwalk on the top to go to the bathroom, praying to God you don't fall through the floor.
Sweet Sundays, I can't believe you mentioned that. I haven't heard that in a while. And wow, I used to party a lot. I used to go out all the Sweet Sundays and then school the next day.
We had the Ice House in Fullerton. We had the Tunnel in Orange, which was Sound Factory. We had this place called the Westminster Manor, where it was just a manor that they did private events, but we turned it into a nightclub every Friday night.
It brought people from all sorts of cultures together. That was the cool thing about it. White kids, black kids, Asian kids, a lot of Latinos because there was a lot of us too. But at the same time, it was about unity through the music.
It had started in high school because at the high school dances, when everybody was dancing on the floor, my friend Victoria and I, we were dancing on the bleachers up high, and everybody was watching us dance. So this whole go-go dancing thing it was nothing for me to jump in a cage and start dancing at details because at Maryland's, I was the bitch with the turtleneck on in 100-degree weather, but I chopped my turtlenecks all the way to here, so I was exposed. I had the ripped up jeans and the buckle boots and the chain belts hanging. So I was like a gothic belly dancer. We were the ones dancing on the stage at Maryland's in the front. There was a select group of us. You knew if we walked into Maryland's on that night and you were on the front of the stage, you better move your ass or you're getting pushed down. And you just knew it.
Walking in there, seeing the TVs kind of flash out. They had some TVs there going in, and then it kind of breaks off to the two sides. So going in, and once you break off to the left or to the right, it was just banging, dude. Wall to wall, people to people, go dancers, and hear the music loud. It was just amazing. Going to arena, I mean, it was more of a. During that time, everybody knew it was a gay club. Going in there, I mean, you were just embraced with everybody because no matter what you were, gay, straight, Latino, white, black, Asian, whatever, everybody was there to have a good time.
I feel like there was kind of two different scenes, and arena was more of a mixed crowd as far as gay, straight goes. A lot of straight people went to arena, but it was also a safe haven for gay people to go, and if you were straight and you went there, you couldn't have a problem with that.
I remember going to the arenas when you show up and you got your crate, your little sack of records. Every DJ had his own records and stuff, and you walk in and everybody's just like eyeballing, who's that, who's this, who's that, right? And then you pass in, it's a huge line. The arena had lines for days, and you're just going, you see all these girls. They were wearing lingerie or they weren't wearing anything. They were just out there almost naked. You could see everything. It just had nothing to cover them. I was like, what is going on in this place, And the more you showed, I guess, the better the costume was, or the better you dressed. That was pretty shocking to me, to see just lines and lines of people just not wearing underwear, pretty much, to get into a club.
all my friends were talking about the arena, so I was like, wow, let's check it out. And we finally, got to go to the arena, and I was like amazed, just like I was with the raves, like the whole scene, how everything was. Everybody was, cool, partying, till 3, 4 in the morning. So yeah, it was, that was my first club.
And then we just discovered, the arena. And so that's why we went out there, because we felt at home, nobody judged us, and it was the place to be.
The all age clubs came out. So Sound Factory and, Carnival and all that. That was great. We don't have that in Orange County. We didn't have, the big parties. So we had to come to LA and experience it.
I never knew about the party thing in LA until my cousin actually took me to the arena. I fell in love with the arena. It was a different culture, a different vibe. I mean, first time I ever saw a cholo and a cholo make out, club kids. It's something that you never experienced. And, being like 13 years old, you're like, what is going on? So, it was just an experience that I never forgot. And then from that Friday on, I started going to the arena every Friday.
When Irene showed up into the podium of the DJ booth, I don't think anybody in that moment in time would understand how that feels. The energy that woman would give to us. And then that energy that you got, it's because it's unexplainable. That epic moment in arena.
That dance floor was packed. I mean, it was like a swap meet on a Saturday night. I tell you, there was so many people there, and elbow to elbow, and we was just getting down and getting funky and battling, and I mean, everybody came together. If you was gay, you was straight, you was, whatever you were.
Arena was an unbelievable phenomenon. Of course, my first time going to Arena was probably when we were doing the Dome. Dome was a huge club for us in Hollywood. Started hearing noise, started hearing buzz about this other place in Hollywood. And I think Arena's big night was on Friday nights, if I'm not mistaken, and then the Dome was on Saturday. We were 18 and over the Dome. Arena was more all ages. So you hear the stories of these kids, 14, 15 years old, lying to their parents. They're going over to their cousins for a sleepover, and they leave the house in their pajamas, and then they go in the bathroom at Arena and come out all hoochie mammed out. It was incredible. But that's one of those once-in-a-lifetime situations that will never, ever be duplicated. It was magical. Irene was the perfect and only person to make that happen. She related to those kids. She was an idol to those kids. And she took chances and did things there that nobody else in Hollywood would ever do.
When you were kind of in the inner circle at Arena, you kind of had run of the place. You got in for free. I knew the owner, Gene. You kind of felt like royalty. Like you walk up to the door, they let you in, everybody knows you. And then once you got in that door, like anything goes. It was a party from 9 o'clock till 4 a.m. when the lights went off.
As the most iconic nightclub in all of Hollywood, the world famous Arena. Rest in peace, and thank you for the memories.
Where am I looking?
You're looking straight here.
Okay. Can we do that again? Yeah, I fucked up. Sorry. Okay.
On the way up here, I wrote a list of the clubs that were. I don't know what you were gonna ask on the way when I caught some traffic. I started writing a couple of things. What if he asked about this?
Do what you want. I spit.
If I wanted to go up to her and grind her on her butt and spank her, nobody's gonna tell me anything.
So you want me to say my crews? All three?
No, say one.
Just one?
Yeah.
Which one?
Oh my goodness. La da dee, la 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 la.
Before you answer that, what's outside of your hat? There's a bug.
Oh, shit.
You know who brought that in? You. You brought it in fucking Team Valley. I know how you are.
All right.
Oh boy. I cut a cast off my leg to make it to arena one night.
More of my love, more of my groove. Like it's one of those things you're like, this is me. Oh my God. And I'm dancing. I have goosebumps right now.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's go. Boom, boom, boom.
My name is Venus de la Elia Montana La Tweakalandria Love. And I'm from the land of fashion, honey. It's called Fashionlandia. Feel my vibe, bitches. This is my story. Ride the ride, pull your e-ticket out, and please keep all hands and arms inside the car at all times for a safe ride. Bye.
Being a very logical Boy Scout, Mormon Boy Scout, I pulled over to a payphone because there was no cell phones, I don't think then really. No cell phones, or maybe beepers. And I got on the payphone and I called the operator, or 411, and I said, give me an address for Truth. And the operator said, Truth's not listed. There's no Truth, but I've been there. And here's where it is. And keep in mind, I had just taken ecstasy for the first time. So this was maybe a little bit of the ecstasy talking, and the woman gave me the address for this club. And we parked our car downtown. Didn't go to downtown a lot. This is like one of the first forays going to downtown as well. Found a parking spot, kind of not the greatest area of town. And the Park Plaza Hotel got in this line. There was a long line to get in this place. And we're like asking the people, like, what is this line? This is crazy. What's going on? Well, this is Truth. It's like, wow. You feel like special, like you've just found something nobody else has ever found. And so it's $20. $20? Oh my God. Like, who has $20? Well, we had $20, so we paid. 3 kids from the Valley. And I got in there and heard house music for the first time on a very, very large, incredible sound system. And it changed my life.